embrace the freedom to be able to, what it is like to tell the truth about yourself, even if it is not nice. Then nobody has any hold on you because they cannot tell you anything about yourself that you don't know and you're not ashamed of.
Hi and welcome. I'm Michelle, the Breathe Easy Coach, and we are finishing up our interview with Dwain-Welcome, and we're talking about integrity, and specifically in relationship to awakening integrity within, being able to help individuals who are having a struggle with integrity, to be able to offer them some hope that there is a path forward, that they don't have to struggle alone, and that hopefully by listening to the other parts of the interview, that it also gave you a glimpse of what it requires of you if you really want to become a new man of integrity, if you want to be able to break old patterns of lying, self-deception, manipulation, and things like that, to be able to show up as your best version of yourself. And so we want to just welcome Dwain-Welcome for giving us of his time, his energy, his experience, and also his insights that he has gained over the years of working on his integrity and being intentional about becoming this man of integrity. And so thank you, Dwain.
Thank
Anything
you
you
for
want to
having
share?
me. It's been wonderful to have this opportunity just to reflect. I'm learning about myself even as I go through this process, and I'm glad to share.
All right. So the last question that I have for you is looking back, what would you say to the version of yourself who felt the need to lie? What do you know now about integrity that you didn't understand then? So it's a two-part question. And so you can address it in any order that feels right to you.
If if I'm speaking to my younger self, the person that was telling those lies, I would say to him that you are valuable as is. Your value doesn't come from all the external factors. You are valuable as you are. If you truly want to have it, to the degree that I embrace that, there's a freedom that comes with it. So I would say to him, embrace the freedom to be able to, what it is like to tell the truth about yourself, even if it is not nice. Then nobody has any hold on you because they cannot tell you anything about yourself that you don't know and you're not ashamed of. Right? So, okay, so that is the truth. Let's move on. I can move on to something else. I would say that to my younger self. The truth is freeing, it's liberating. I would also say to my younger self that it allows me to grow in a way that is rewarding and exciting, because the lies kept me in a box. The lies kept me looking back, and the lies kept me focused on my inadequacies, or what I perceived as my inadequacies, instead of focusing on my possibilities. So I would say to my younger self, whatever it is, embrace it. It's the truth, because now you can go full bore into what it is that you would really want to be and what you would really like to do, unencumbered by fear or guilt or shame. And that's liberating. There's a liberating aspect of being just truthful and open. And the third thing, many times when we think of vulnerability, by being vulnerable means to my younger self that that is something that can be used to harm me. When in many ways I'm coming to realize, though, as in my older self that is kind of counterintuitive, right? Going back to the first thing, if someone knows the truth, what can they say about you to anybody else? Right? Uh, it's not the thing, it's the shame that's associated with it many times that causes us harm. But if it's out there and everyone knows it, I've dealt with it, I know it's the case. Am I really vulnerable? And what am I vulnerable to? So I would tell my younger self to embrace the freedom that comes with being truthful. And even as we talk about operating with integrity, that could feel like it is such a heavy weight. We sometimes attribute that to people like a priest or somebody like that. But really, it is really just being true to yourself. It is really just operate. When I think of the people that I would like to emulate, there's many times of the people that are operating in tough times, but in spite of what society thinks they should be or should do, they're still very free because there's no hold. The things that we attribute that we should be doing are things like we've talked about before that are put upon us from the outside. And it's a cloak many times that is heavier for us to bear, or it's not even something that fits. When what fits many times is already inside of us, and when expressed, we can really see it for what it is, and it is not covered up, it is not muddied, it is very clear. And that's the person that I want to always be. It's like, hey, this is who I am. And not just that this is who I am, but that this that I am is growing, is developing, is flourishing. And the way that is done is if it is nurtured and if it is exposed to light. So those are the things I would say to my younger self. Now, the last part of what you said, I said so much about that younger person.
Well,
What have I?
before you jump into that, what I would like to point out is that you're really speaking about not having any fear of exposure,
Yes.
or that people are going to find out anything about you that would shatter them because you're operating in truth. And so it allows you again to really live in that place of freedom, what it really means to be free, that you don't have to be worried that if they discover this, if they knew this. So all those what ifs,
Yes.
they're irrelevant because you know, hey, I already told on my own self. Nobody has to discover nothing
Yeah.
because I already disclosed everything that I need to disclose. And so it's living in that state of transparency. And so you don't have to be fearful that people are going to shun you, to reject you, to ostracize you, to whatever. Because a lot of times that's worse in our minds than it really is in actuality when it does happen. It's like, okay, that happened and you survived.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think that that's one of the experiences here is that you got found out and you survived. You survived it. But not only did you survive, but your relationship
Yeah.
also not only survive, but thrive.
Right.
And so a lot of times that even the things that we're so fearful of and that negative talking with our reptilian brains makes us, oh my God, thinking that we're going to die. Yeah, but you're still alive. And you were able to actually make your next move. You are able to deal with it. So that happens. You're able to find a way. Okay. If we believe that there is a way, we find a way. Our brain will find a way and we'll be able to survive it. It might be a rocky road, it might be a hell of a journey, but there's a way. There's a way forward with it. But we know that with the constant lies, that we're making that even more challenging, more difficult, and less likely to survive because it's causing injury. There's always a cost to lying. There's always a cost to deception. So it really is nice to hear that there's freedom in truth. Could there be consequences? Yes, absolutely. Could they be uncomfortable? Surely they could. Okay. But you also have freedom. And we're talking about internal
No,
freedom,
freedom. Correct.
internal freedom. So you're not burdened with the shame. You're not burdened with the guilt because you did what was your responsibility. what is in your wheelhouse that you could actually do. You did that. Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to just highlight that before you went on to the next part, which is what do you know now about integrity that you didn't know or understand before?
I think of integrity in many ways and vulnerability and transparency in many ways in the same. And what I've learned is that when I operate in integrity and I'm vulnerable, um, one, it allows me to grow in areas that are more exciting because I'm starting from a more fertile ground. And so whatever I'm going to do next, um, it's sure. I think the other part that I've learned now is that I can open myself, I can look at myself honestly, without shame, without guilt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm more comfortable expressing because I think also in looking at myself and then expressing it to others, to you and to others, I'm able to then have fresh eyes on it. I'm also, when it comes out of your mouth, you can really look at something. It's like putting it up on a screen, and then I can get more insight into myself as well. The other thing is that I am more able to give myself grace
Mm-hmm.
because even in that thing that I'm exposing, I have come so far to that point. I'm not inadequate because I've accomplished so much in terms of my own sense of self, my own sense of development, operating in this world in oneness and not uh, creating impressions and wearing masks. So I am able to operate in a sense of oneness wherever I go. I'm not different in different places. The things that are funny are funny. The things I can be truthful. Obviously, I'm not everybody needs to know my business, but it's refreshing to know that if you speak to someone at work about me or someone at home about me, you might hear the same things because I'm the same person showing up. And I think that is freeing
Yeah.
because I don't have to worry if people from one area of my life meet with someone in the other area of my life. They're not gonna be like, oh, he's that. Not gonna be any shocks, no surprises.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it really uh, I'm saying all of that to say that it really pulls walking in integrity pulls all areas of your life together. You're not split in multiple places, divisions, and you can really operate with a surety um, of who you are. Be comfortable in your areas of strength. Give yourself grace in areas of weakness. Um, um, there's no shame that binds you, and there's an excitement for the future because it's like, okay, what else am I going to learn about myself now?
Mm-hmm.
Once the shame and the guilt is removed, now you become an interesting person to yourself, if that makes sense. Right? It's like, what area of my life have I not explored? And let me try exploring it. And if I like it, oh great. If I don't like it, oh well, now at least I've tried it. And that freedom to explore, the truth is we all have such capacity. I believe that I haven't even touched half of my capacity. I believe that. Yeah, I think there's so much to me that I'm gonna know, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna experience, and I will do that in truth. And I think that's an exciting way to live, and as opposed to the other way. So my advice to others, whatever the area of your journey is, it's almost a level of invincibility that comes with it. Um, the thing that we lie about to give ourselves is the thing that we can get if we're truthful. So I lie to protect myself so that I'm invincible because I have all these shields up around me. But the truth is, if I operate in truth, those things that I'm trying to protect myself from can't harm me. Because the thing that they need to harm me is the thing that I'm growing inside of me, which is the shame and the guilt. The thing that I'm shameful and guilty of cannot really harm me.
Mm.
So I would, my advice to myself and to others is operate in truth, because once it's out there, it has no power, and therefore it can be weaponized. And even if it is, doesn't have the effect.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yes, it's integrity and freedom are intricately tied. And my desire is to be free.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. It's really important for us to be able to highlight that integrity does bring freedom. As you walk in it, it opens the way for possibilities. And there it's almost unfathomable possibilities, because with every experience that we have in life, we're able to take in more,
Yes.
enjoy it, but then find deeper and higher levels of ourselves, and also the expansion of self against across multiple planes. So it's like, wow, again, going back to my Transformers, right? It's like there's so much more to us than what meets the eye. And that we're giving ourselves this gift when we're able to operate in that integrity. And we shortchange ourselves when we choose to lie and be deceptive and to be in misalignment, because it's like there's a certain flow
Yes.
that comes in with integrity. It's almost like a river that is flowing, but then when you start throwing in the lies and the deception, the half truths and the manipulation, the fear and the shame and stuff, it just stops it up, and it stops that river from being able to flow. And so the work that we're talking about doing is being able to take out those things, identify it, understand why it came in there, and then choosing, hey, I'm going to just move you out the way because I need something to be flowing for me.
Yes.
Take it up, move it. I need this to flow a little bit more for me. And the encouragement comes is as you start doing that work, is that you see just how fluid you start to become, how much more, how nourishing, how refreshing that river or that
Yes.
the flow of the water can be for your soul,
Yes.
you know, and for your personhood, right? And it's so important that we highlight that, because it does speak to that when you are in alignment. In an alignment like this, you can do almost anything. When you're like this,
Yes.
okay, you can't do anything. Where you going?
Yes.
What is it that you expect to accomplish? And so that's sometimes what I have to use with my clients, so this way they can see how they are misaligned. You can't go any place with that. You need to be in alignment. So this way, the face that you're wearing inside, that you know yourself as, is the same face that is front facing to the world
Yeah.
and to those around you. So there's a consistency. But if there's not, you're always going to be fearful. You're always going to be worried. You're always going to have anxiety and stress. And that takes a toll, not just on the relationship, but we're talking about to the individual. It
Yeah.
takes a toll on your system,
Yes.
okay? Your health, your sleeping, your digestive system, because energy that you should be using to actually live a vibrant life is
Yeah.
being drained. And so even regular functions, take digesting your food, you don't have the energy available
Yeah.
because it's being spent someplace else. Okay. So you're not doing yourself a service by doing the lying and being misaligned. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're actually doing yourself a disservice. If you're ready to actually make a change, if you know that this is your time to change, reach out. Get on the wait list for the Integrity Awakening program. The link is going to be in the comments section. Get yourself on the wait list. we have an idea of a certain number of people that we want to be able to present the workshop for. And so we're waiting until we hit the number. When we hit the number, we're going to launch the workshop. But we want to make sure that we give enough opportunity for people to be able to sign up and to get on that wait list, because we really believe that this is something that is pivotal and vital for people for this year, 2025. We really want to actually help support change for the men that are struggling with sex addiction, that are ready to say, hey, I want to be a man of integrity. This is my vision of myself, but I couldn't do it on my own. I need help. Well, we're here to help you. And we're just waiting for you to actually reach out and say, get me on that wait list. Get me on that wait list. This workshop, this first workshop is free. So this way you can come away with some information. Where are you in the journey? What has been holding you back? Getting some insights, asking yourself those tough questions to actually get you started or get you primed to really say, yeah, I'm really in. I'm really in. I'm really in. We want to be able to help you to see that it's possible. You've been struggling on your own, or you're constantly seeing the same pattern manifesting in different relationships. Well, then are you ready to do something about it? So we want to invite you to do that. So the link will be down in the comment section. And we're asking you to do something else. Invite your friends. A lot of times there are other people in your circle of influence who are actually struggling with the same thing that you are. Invite them. Invite them. Don't let them have to struggle alone, and you don't have to be alone. You can actually build your support network, those that will hold you accountable, hold your foot to the fire, will actually check up on you. How are you doing? Okay, invite them so this way they can also benefit. Invite 5 people, invite 10 people. We want them to be able to actually benefit as you're benefiting. As I promised, we're going to have a little look behind the curtain. Some of the things that you may not know. Dwain and I have been best friends since high school. I met him when I was, around 16 or so. And so it's been a lot of years. He gave you his age. Don't you ask me my age. I'm stop now. so, so it's a lot of years. We're talking about 46 years that I have known him. That's a long time. And so when he was going through his integrity crisis, and maybe it was there in high school and I didn't know, because I've always looked at him as a person who would tell me the truth. Okay, that's the kind of conversations that we had. And so for me, there was a very firm foundation of truthfulness that went back to before I even really had an understanding of myself, that I relied on. Other people in my life might not have been truthful, but I would swear that he would always be the one to tell me the truth. And so it was kind of shattering, earth shattering, when I found out that he lied to me in this area. I was devastated. I was hurt because I would have swore up and down nobody could tell me anything different. I was like, nope, he wouldn't have done that. And then to find out the way that I found out was hurtful. Okay. It shattered my view of him. And then it also got me to question, well, how much do you love me if you're going to lie to me about that? And so looking behind the curtain on the other side of why it had the impact that it did, just to let you understand that when somebody puts their trust and their faith in you and they open themselves up so vulnerably, that these things have the ability to be like an earthquake, a tsunami in their lives. It has that ability. It has the same kind of impact because everything that they were believing gets shaken. And trust is a very fragile thing. It really is you giving your word to somebody and they're building their hope. They're building their lives. They are building things on top of your word. And so when they find out that your word was not true, it's devastating. And a lot of you might have experienced that or heard that from your partners who found out that you had sex addiction, that they didn't know that you were struggling with, that you were lying and covering it over, that you didn't understand why it had such an impact. And they might say to you, well, then everything that we've experienced and that I thought was true was never true. It was a lie. Everything is a lie. I can't believe you anymore. This is the reason why. It's because it was such a fragile thing and it got destroyed. It got destroyed. And then now you're asking them to rebuild and to have faith that this time you're going to tell them the truth, the unadulterated truth, the yeah, the hard truth. And it requires a lot to be able to do that because they're still reeling with the emotional impact there. But there could be love there. There could be affection there, but they're also reeling. The fact that they didn't know you, that they would never have suspected that you would have done this or that you would have lied. And so it's a hard thing for them to hold both that reality and then also the emotion that they had for you that was really built on the lies with the person that you were representing yourself to be. It's a very hard thing. So it's not a simple thing like, okay, I confess the truth. Now you know the truth, get over it. It's no. If it only was that easy, if it only could be that easy, no. Okay, so there's a lot of things that still would need to be worked out on their side. But since the focus of what it is that we're offering here, the Integrity Awakening framework is really for the men. I want to stay with that focus, but it doesn't negate the fact that there's some devastation that happens on the side of the partner or the wives when they actually go through this and experience it. There's harm that was actually done. There is emotional and mental and psychological impacts, implications of this thing here, and they would need to be supported. And maybe you might not be the right person at this time to support them, but they would need to be supported to be able to find their way through it. Right. And so I wanted to just give you a little glimpse behind the curtain because we never set it up. We never explained that our friendship goes back so many years, that I knew you when and you knew me when and all that other kind of a thing. But I think that it does speak to how much was built before we decided that we were going to get married. There was a lot that was built before there was a knowingness. And a lot of times when we are in our teenage years, we are more free, we're more open and stuff like that. And so we think that we know people really well, but it's not necessarily always the case because there might have been some conditioning, there might have been some protections that was built into that person's personality because of the way that they were brought up, the household that they're living in, the cultural conditioning and things like that that we're not aware of. So we're thinking that we really have the full picture and we might not have the whole picture. And so as you go through the journey of discovering who you are in integrity, you'll get to find out that even what the person may think they have known about themselves
Yes.
was not really who they were. And it really was a survival. It was for survival. And so I just want to highlight that. I'm going to give you your opportunity to share behind the curtain from your perspective and see what is it that you would like to just speak into the space.
Going back in term for me, that sense of inadequacy was really planted very early in my life. And it informed how I view myself, and it also informed how what I struggled against. I'm the youngest of four, and when I grew up, I was constantly told that I'm the weaker one, physically, because if I go outside and I may catch a cold or whatever. And it was done with the intentions of protecting me. So when my older brothers wanted to do something, it was always that I couldn't do it with them because I was this weak child. And I didn't quite understand physically why I didn't think I was the weak child. I got colds like everybody else. But it may be that my mother thought that since I was the youngest that I needed that extra protection, and that was the reason that was given. But that really stayed with me for a long time, and it stayed with me in part because I internalized that, and it stayed with me in the sense that I tried to rebel against it. So as I got older, regardless of what I may accomplish or do, many of it was done in response to that. And then because I was looking for that external, to be affirmed by the external things that I've done, when I came up short, it just proved what I was told, that I was weak. So the struggle was always to show that I'm not weak, but like with anything else, if I come up short, then it's because I'm weak and therefore inadequate. So it framed the struggle and it set me up in many ways for our relationship. And on the one hand, to cover up through the lies, and then on the other hand, to overcompensate. So you toss between those two impulses. And when it is coming from a false place that I believed and I carried with me into relationships, into my approach to work and everything else. And when it works, you might feel like you're winning against this view of yourself, but inevitably, those external accomplishments don't change your internal, your self-talk. It can never assuage what it is that you come to believe about yourself. It's never adequate. So I would either drive myself, be very driven in those external things and focused and have my life narrowed in that way, which is no way to live, even if I'm successful. Or because the alternative, if I fail, is just to confirm what I believe already about myself. So I suspect that many of us men have that internal struggle. We're trying to prove that we are not uh, weak or inadequate. So we tend to compensate in our work or what we drive or those external material things to the neglect of getting a true sense of who we are. A true sense, not what people said we are, but a true sense of who we are, and to live from that place. So I just share that maybe that's some insight that others may be able to relate to.
Thank you so much for allowing them to peek behind the curtain with you. And again, thank you. My heart thanks to you for doing this interview with me and for sticking through all 5 parts, but showing up with integrity, truthfulness, transparency, and authenticity, because it was a hard season. It was a hard season, but I'm thankful that we're on the other side of it, and that we're constantly working to maintain integrity, personal integrity, because it's not just for the men. The integrity also goes for the women too, because as human beings, how are we showing up? So this integrity journey can also be for us women as well. How are we showing up? Are we actually putting forth the best version of ourselves that we want? Or are there things that are also limiting us? And that's going to come in later on with the You Are Remarkable for the women. But for right now, we're looking at the men integrity awakening. And we're going to be looking at the framework that actually was built to support men going through this journey to get their integrity awakened or to actually breathe some life into it. And if they never had it, for them to actually decide, do I want to be this person? Because the power of choice is in your hands. And so it's up to you to decide if you're going to accept the invitation that's being given to you, or you're going to say, I'll catch it the next time around, whenever that is. So we know that it's here now. Are you going to seize it now? If not, we'll see if we give it again. All right. And so thank you again, Dwain-Welcome, for showing up. And for everybody who tuned in, we appreciate you and we're thankful. If you have any questions for Dwain-Welcome, please put it in the comments. So this way he'll be able to respond. If you have questions for me, you can also put in the comments and just at Michelle, and then I will be able to respond to you as well. All right. Thank you again for tuning in. And I'm Michelle, the Breathe Easy Coach. Bye-bye for now. You saying bye, Dwayne?
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.